Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com and on iHeartRadio. Alongside Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, it's finally here. Super Bowl 60, a big matchup, a true heavyweight chess match. It's the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, two teams that most of the NFL population didn't expect to be in the final dance. But here they are. One of these quarterbacks is going to punch their ticket and enter their name into the upper echelon of NFL greats. Will it be Drake May or will it be Sam Darnold picking up their first ring? Now, I know our fans are used to hearing our banter back and forth, and a lot of the times we kind of agree and maybe even agree a little bit too much whenever it comes to some of these big name topics. So we mixed it up this week a little bit, starting off our show to talk about the big game. We thought it was absolutely necessary to bring in a big dog, a football coach himself, to come in and lend his expertise to the equation as well. Good morning, Coach Matt Richardson of Fountain Lake Football. Coach, how are things going?
Man, blessed as I can be. Appreciate you having me on. This is fun. It's a bittersweet week, isn't it? Because it's the biggest game of the year, the most fun Sunday night of the year, all that kind of stuff. But then football's over for a little bit. So it is bittersweet, and I love this night. But when it's over, it's kind of like Christmas. You know, you open all the presents, and then, dang it, you got to wait 365 days for Christmas to come again. So it is my Christmas day, but boy, I'm excited about it. I promise. Sunday night's going to be a lot of fun for me.
So, Coach, let me ask you this. It's the Super Bowl. At your stage in your career, is there any just watching the game as a fan? Does that exist anymore, or is everything analytical from a coaching perspective for you?
I try to keep quiet while I watch a ball game because my wife has said, it's not fun watching with me because it does get analytical. It does get, did you notice the right tackle? Did you notice this? Did you notice that? And so I kind of try to get quiet if I'm in a group of people because some people don't like hearing the little things. They just want to watch the ball game. So I do enjoy watching that and watching things and trying to catch it like, in the middle of a regular ball game that I'm coaching that, every time the fullback lines up in the B gap, this play's coming. Or every time, the wide receivers, number 14's in the slot, they've run this play tonight. But I try to be quiet so I don't give anything away. But, it is fun to do that, but sometimes it's fun just to watch a ball game.
Well, and yeah, I know you guys have got a group chat going on. I know because we've all got one of those going on, and you know that y'all are comparing notes all the time. But into the brass tactics of it all, these two teams, of course, supporting a multicast of some talented individuals out there, no doubt. But what are you leaning on as far as the game itself? Are you seeing this a defensive struggle or an offensive struggle? What are you leaning on right now?
Well, Seattle's defensive line is special, and that's the kicker. I think I've watched them, and I really like their defensive line and how they've controlled the line of scrimmage, and they've got three guys up front, the big cat and Jared, and those guys. They're unbelievable, and they've done a really good job all year. But I think the kicker is, and lots of people aren't talking about him, but Sam Darnold, he's won 30 ball games the last 2 years. He comes from the Vikings, and everybody's like, oh, he's just a dime a dozen. We'll take the other quarterback. It's the receivers making him. Well, now he's gone somewhere else and won 16 more. So we got a guy that's won 30 games in 2 years. That's pretty special. So I'm excited to watch that guy in a big moment and see if he can live up to what he's done so far in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think you're right, Coach. Of course, 346 yards against the Rams, 2 touchdowns in that NFC title game performance. That was an absolute shootout. Matthew Stafford had the squad and I think had the talent to be in the big game, but they're not. Darnold really stepped up. He proved himself. I think this whole season has really been a story of having to prove himself and silence the naysayers, silence the doubters, because just like you said, Minnesota did not trust what they had right in front of them. And one of those teams is sitting at home, and one of those teams that gave Sam Darnold a chance is now vying for a big Super Bowl ring. And of course, too, we have to point out this is a rematch from about a decade ago, probably one of the worst endings to a Super Bowl well, I guess it depends on which team you ask here, but
Exactly.
But from a coaching perspective, I know that you probably think about that moment where they decide not to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch and decide to throw it. It's intercepted in the end zone. I mean, how in the scope of the Super Bowl and your generation, just how meaningful of a moment was that for this franchise?
Have you ever watched the documentary about how that happened, about the gentleman that watched all the games and watched every play? They had an off-the-field coach that caught that. He had caught that one play, and he had seen the motion, and when they ran the motion, they ran the pick slant, and he had told the DBs about it, and that's how the interception happened. The documentary or the video, it's about a 10-minute video, and the man tells how he watched the film, and a guy caught that play on film and told him about it on the goal line that, hey, if you see this kind of motion, they're going to run that quick slant, and that's how the interception happened. It's amazing that it went back to some dude that sat for 2 weeks and watched every play Seattle had ran that year, and he caught it. And when you think it doesn't matter, I guess that mattered. He watched every play. It's unbelievable. And no, that one play changed everything because, I mean, heck, that's another one that Tom Brady gets to claim, right?
Oh.
I mean,
That's right.
And it goats him a little bit more, right? So, but no, it's unbelievable. Now, on the other side of it, we've talked about Seattle. I mean, Mike Vrabel. Let's talk about New England and how many times they've done it. And
There you go.
And he's part of it. He's part of that franchise that did it. So if anybody knows how to prepare for this 2 weeks, you have 2 weeks to prepare for one game. If anybody knows how to prepare that way, this guy, they're going to be prepared. He probably made a few phone calls to a couple guys, and they will be prepared better than anybody can expect. So he does an amazing job, and it's going to be exciting to see what he has planned and the first quarter of action of what his 2 weeks of preparation, what he does when he comes out of the game. The first quarter is always fun to watch as a coach because that's the things they think is going to happen. Then you start seeing their adjustments, but the first quarter is fun to watch the first couple of drives.
Coach, now coming from a defensive standpoint, I know you like some good D, all right? So we've got the two quarterbacks lined up right now. We know what, Seattle's going to do a little bit. We know a little bit about New England's quarterback. Of course, he's got a variation. But from the defensive standpoint, it's just like you said, it's a chess game. First quarter is coming up, and we're starting to move some pawns around and such like that. How do you defend what Seattle does on offense and then switch gears, and how do you defend what Drake May and the New England offense does?
Well, of course, we've got 2 weeks to prepare, and every play they've ran all year. So these guys are going to know everything that they've done so far. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to, as a coach, you want to come out and you think, man, they know everything we do. Any way we line up, they know we're running this play. And then part of you as a coach also says offensively, I'm talking offensively now, is, hey, we've done all this all year, and we've got to this point. Let's not change everything. We better still do what we're. So defensively, I'm looking at them saying they're not going to come out and do different stuff. I'm preparing for what I've seen. I don't want to play against ghosts. So to start the game, I'm preparing for everything I've seen and their favorite plays. I mean, if they've run a certain play 15 times, and if they ran another one once, I want to prepare for the one they ran 15 times. That's the one they like. So the first quarters, that's what I'm doing, is I'm getting ready for what they've done because they're not changing it up. They're going to come at you. If Drake May, if he likes to start the game off with quick game and start trying to get him comfortable and stuff, that's what they're going to start off with. So now then the adjustments is if I take that away, what have I seen? If I take that away, what have I seen in a previous game that somebody took what I'm trying to take away? What did they do with their adjustment? Because they're going to go back to what they're familiar with. So everyone's got tails, and everyone has things that they've done and they're comfortable with. So I'm trying to take their I'm trying to make them uncomfortable defense is what I'm doing. Take away their big guys and their big plays, and heck, the most important thing is how do you make people uncomfortable? You get to that quarterback, right? So make him move around and be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And Coach, I'm glad that you talked about that, because that kind of leads into what I think is going to be the most important aspect of this game. I think it's where this game is actually going to be won. We've got Sam Darnold. We have Drake May. You know, there will be big plays here and there, but like you said, the defense's jobs are to make the respective quarterback uncomfortable. That's where this running game is going to come in. Now, I don't necessarily believe you're going to see a Ken Walker or Ramondre Stevenson as your MVP of the Super Bowl. They don't have to be, but it's going to be those little things, those little moments. If these quarterbacks want to get into a shootout, this thing could go off the wheels, off the rails. But the running game, I think, is what's going to keep everything stable, keep everything honest. When you look at these two and you compare them apples to apples, this looks like a pretty even group here. So whenever we talk about the rushing attack, to give these QBs a little bit of a breather and help kind of isolate and stabilize drives, which rushing attack do you believe has the upper hand here?
Well, the Patriots have done a great job running the ball all year. And then Seattle, they're on a backup, right? So I think they're on a backup running back.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. So that's that could be a big factor. Now, I mean, we're all talking about we're all professionals, and everybody's a good player in that league, but you're still a backup for a reason. So I would probably give the upper hand to the Patriots with a starter and what they've done. But, and I think the Patriots are going to have to rely more on a running back because they do have a younger guy at quarterback. And with May, I don't see May coming out and throwing for 300 yards and it being I don't know, I might be 100% wrong. But if I was defending May, I would look at him and say, hey, if you can throw for 300 and 4 or 5 touchdowns to beat me and be the Super Bowl MVP tonight, go do it. Now, Darnold, with his weapons, I think he can do that. So, in my opinion, I think the Patriots better run the ball more and better rely on that a little bit more because and that keeps a little pressure off a young quarterback and let him make plays where he can make plays, and he doesn't have to be the big time. Hey, I got to throw 5 touchdowns and be the Super Bowl MVP tonight to win. And I think Darnold could do that. I think he's won a lot of games in the last 2 years, and he's been in some moments and I think Darnold could. So, again, I think the Patriots better rely on the run game a little bit more.
Hey, Coach, and so we saw what exactly May was able to do. And I mean, that proved the point against Denver, obviously, with him coming out and then those last little bit of runs, those quarterback scrambles, if you want to call them, the set draws that he did and stuff like that. So does Seattle come out and be a little bit more tenacious and obviously maybe put a spy on him because he's not the pocket presence, like Darnold is? So do you go ahead and spy him?
I think you could, but I would let my defensive ends loose. And I'd rush the C gaps and let him try to step up in those A's and B's because those 2D tackles do a great job. I don't think those animals they've got up front, they've got 3 really good D tackles, and I think that the 3D tackles can control the A's and B's. And if he tries to step up, so I would probably send my C gap defensive ends around and try to keep him in the pocket. And if he did try to step up, I've got two guys. Those guys look like Aaron Donald. They are good-looking jokers, man. And so that's what I would try to do. And then maybe, and if he gets out, you could try to spy him. But I would try to use my 4 first, is what I would do. But again, they've watched all the film. I haven't. So that's just me talking off the hoof a little bit.
Tracy, it's time to make our predictions. Who is going to win Super Bowl 60?
Well, I mean, I'm an NFC guy, always have been, and I'm going to be practical. I know just what Coach said a while ago. Now, you've already got a guy that's already won some Super Bowls coaching at New England. He knows what the preparation is all about. But you've got some guys over at Seattle that are hungry, and you got a first-time coach that seems to know what he's doing also, though. But with it all said and done, I think with the defense, because I still always believe the defense wins games, I think it's going to be over and under. I think it's going to be a low-scoring matchup. And I'm going with Seattle. How about you?
I'm picking Seattle as well. Coach Richardson, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I'll start with the D-line. line. You know that. And so those guys up front for Seattle have done a great job. That's the first thing I said today. And then the second thing I said was a guy that's won 30 games in 2 years. So doesn't mean you can't lose one, but he's won 30. He's won a lot more than he's lost in the last 2 years. So I'm going Seattle also. Seattle, and I got 27-21.
That's what I was going to ask. Yep.
All right, Coach, a few more questions for you before we let you go. What is the must-have food on your Super Bowl table?
Oh, man, the must-have food. My wife makes some ham and cheese sliders, and they're pretty good. And so the sliders are my thing. And then we make it's crazy to call it, but we call it crack dip because it's so good.
I love it.
It's a cream cheese sausage and rotel dip, and it's pretty good. Real simple. 3, 2, 1. One sausage, 2 rotels, and 3 cream cheese. And it is a good one. And so those are the two things: the sliders and the crack dip. How about that?
Not too many calories.
And of course, Coach, something we talked about on our show last week, we'd love to get your input on as well, real quick. Favorite Super Bowl halftime performance, and if there was any artist that you would like to see have the halftime show in the future, who would it be?
Well, the favorite one, I remember the Michael Jackson where he popped up in the corners of he was everywhere. He was just crazy. He was like in the corner of the stadium, and then that corner, and then this, and then all of a sudden he flew out of the stage, and it was. I was just like, how did he do that? He's everywhere. And it was like he was David Copperfield, and so Michael Jackson's was amazing. I remember that one, and I heard Jelly Roll asking for a country music one, and Jelly Roll the other night was like, man, I think it'd be awesome if they did a country one, and Garth Brooks and George Strait, and and some of those guys. But I'm a huge George Strait guy. I think so. If I got to see anybody, it'd be George Strait. I think he'd put on a show. I think it'd be awesome.
Man.
Coach Matt Richardson of Fountain Lake Football. We can't wait for August for Cobra Country to begin in 2026. I know it's a long off season until then. Coach, thank you so much for joining us on the program this week.
Well, thank y'all. This was awesome. A lot of fun just to talk football. And heck, we're not stopping. We got a quarterback going to Nashville this weekend to train with Quarterback Country. And actually, the guy he's training with trains Drake May and Bo Nix. So that's where our quarterback's going this weekend. So it's kind of neat. So maybe I should have picked New England since we're going to Drake May's trainer this weekend. I'm going to be with him this weekend. So a lot of fun, but it doesn't stop around here. We're trying to get them ready, and we're excited about a big year. A lot of fun.
Coach, appreciate you so much, man. I'll see you I'll be in that weight room a little bit. We'll see what's going on. I may pump a little bit of iron with you guys, but we sure appreciate you coming on board. I know you got to get. We'll talk to you later.
Man, thank y'all very much. God bless, and go Cobra.
Coach Matt Richardson of Fountain Lake Football. Let us know who you think will win Super Bowl 60. You can text us right now, 501-915-1300. Much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. Stick with us right here on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, the NBA trade deadline has come and gone. Now, as of the taping of our show this week, there have been 2 blockbuster deals. Cleveland landing James Harden, and Utah acquiring Jaren Jackson Jr., 2 of the most consequential moves of the 2026 NBA trade season. Harden gives the Cavaliers a win-now offensive engine next to the Spider, Donovan Mitchell, while JJJ gives the Jazz a young all-star cornerstone to accelerate their rebuild. First, we got to talk about the big dog, James Harden, moving from the LA Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a move that makes sense for Cleveland right now because Donovan Mitchell coming over from the Utah Jazz, it's been, 4.5 seasons ago at this point here, was supposed to help recreate the landscape here in the East. And the Cavaliers, despite last year going in as the 1 seed, failed to really gain traction in the postseason. And Donovan Mitchell now is currently sitting, even dating back to his Utah days, 8 consecutive seasons without advancing past the first round. This is a win now move. Now, you can make the argument. I'm not high on James Harden. You can make the argument that I don't know if Harden moves the needle forward very much. He's been everywhere. Look at his track record. Look where all he's been in the NBA. He's the joke about James Harden is he's like the Olympics because he shows up every 2 years in a new location in the world. On the up and up, they've won 17 out of their last 23 games. They're moving in the right direction. They went ahead and made a change, realizing that Harden is not enough to push them toward their goals. They instead land Darius Garland in the trade from Cleveland. Now, I think this makes sense for the Cavaliers somewhat because, okay, you add another big name player, another big offensive presence next to Mitchell. The problem I have with Harden and Mitchell together is that these are two young men. Harden maybe not so young, but these are two players that need the ball in their hand, in my opinion, to succeed. I think that this might actually create a traffic jam rather than smooth sailing to the second round and beyond. Your thoughts?
Mark, and here's what I've seen it, and just like you're absolutely right. Harden traveling around everywhere, and it's unbelievable. And you look at the teams, and they always improve a little bit. Okay, and then next thing you know, little bit of an appearance in the playoffs and such like that. But then, hey, they don't win the whole shebang. And what happens? Do they get their feelings hurt? Because they got all the money in the world. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It can't be that. But they don't have the ring, the trophies. And so what do? They hang on to see if they can snag somebody else from another team somewhere else, and it doesn't work, then they move on. So all these trades and everything that we've been talking about for the last couple of years, it's all great and everything, but there's no stability, not like you see it at OKC, not like back in the days as you saw some of the other teams that had runs, one after another. So I'm just curious about this. The trades, they just have not, and when I say trades, I mean that top 5 players that we've seen go everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not just Harden.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the problem I see right now. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago too, loyalty. There is no loyalty in this system at all whatsoever, not only with the players, but with the coaches too. I mean, we saw the coaching carousel already with them being fired. So how do you, even with these trades, with these deadlines already met, how in the world do you define a team if you're not certain about what players are going to stay there? Because what are contracts anymore? I don't even think they're any good anymore, are they?
I mean, they're rentals. They're glorified rentals right? At this point. And you can make the argument that James Harden is the epitome of a glorified rental in the NBA. He's someone that I believe at 36 years old is feeling the pressure. He doesn't have a ring yet. Donovan Mitchell, a little bit younger, still feeling that pressure because he's able to help lead a team. He's proven that he can lead a team to the playoffs, but he's also proven that he can't do it alone. Donovan Mitchell, probably my favorite player in the NBA, dating back to his Utah Jazz days. But even I can admit that he can't do it alone. He doesn't have that level of star power to be the guy. He's more of a guy that can help lead a supporting cast of teammates, which in my opinion is what the NBA should be anyway. Do these two move the needle and make the Cavaliers the favorite in the East? I don't know.
Do they have enough supporting cast?
I don't know. I really don't know because losing Darius Garland is a very big piece. You had to make the move happen. You had to lose Garland in the process. I look at the East right now. I look at a Boston Celtics team that's about to get some major key pieces back from injury. I look at a New York Knicks team that, as of the taping of this show, has won 7 in a row. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're a really solid and I'm looking at the Detroit Pistons. And the biggest story in the East this year, we're talking about cellar dwellers a year ago, back to the top of the league. And it's not a fluke. They're 37-12 as of the taping of our show. They're back. They're the real deal. And some of these other teams in the mix here, like your Miami, your Philly, Toronto is there in the top 4 right now. It really feels wide open in the East. I agree that Cleveland had to make a move. This was the best move that was available for them. I just don't know if this means they're the favorite to win the East. I'm not so sure. I need to see this combination work. I need to see this contribute to wins because in reality, as of right now, they're only 2.5 games out of second place, realistically, in the East. It's very attainable. I need to see this work before I can believe in it.
Well, and here's my kicker, too, on this. How many years ago it wasn't too long ago that Milwaukee was in the mix of everything, right?
Yeah, a team riddled with injuries as well.
And then with injuries. And so instead of seeing a supporting cast and them get better, now you're seeing them falling apart.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And is that due to not enough people out there that are willing to trade to help them out? Is that the front office? So what I'm saying is there's so many different variables because we already know the key player there is already looking for greener grass or better courts, whatever you want to say. But what happens? I mean, you're seeing some of these teams that were just there, and then now they're bottom dwellers. What's going on with that, Mark? I mean, think about that. You're not seeing that many key players step up.
It's a combination of two things. It's one, a massive increase of injuries. Look at the percentages over the past 5 years in the NBA. The number of ACL tears, Achilles tears has gone up substantially. We are expecting more. I say we. The NBA is expecting more of its players, more physicality. You see the coaches trying to offset that by your DNPs out there and the load management rest thing. It's not all about tinfoil hat theories. There is legitimacy to it where these players with, the 82 games through the regular season, you got the play-in tournament now, the NBA Cup tournament, in the first half. You have the play-in tournament going into the playoffs. There are sneakily more games added to the schedule that just don't count towards that regular season standing. So, we're expecting a lot out of these players in a combination of you have a lot of talent in this league, a lot of international talent that has come in. You look at the Western Conference, it's dominated by international superstars. There is more pressure to win now, more pressure to go get those rings now, because right now, you think about to the 90s, for example, your Charles Barkley of the world, your Allen Iversons of the world, top tier talent that never got the ring. You're looking at your James Harden in this generation, top tier talent, might never get the ring. You're going to see players that never get across the finish line here. And that's why I think as that age comes on, that pressure comes on, looking to try to find a way to win. You mentioned stability, and that kind of segues me into my next point here. First of all, I think this is going to give stability to the LA Clippers, who get Darius Garland in exchange for James Harden. The Clippers locker room, despite the team winning and very much in the postseason conversation right now, that locker room could not be any more of a mess right now. Everything with the Chris Paul saga, which is kind of laid on the wayside and really just not, it's his final season in the NBA, and he's sitting on the bench. They won't trade him. They won't let him go. Just the way that this organization has been ran almost feels like an organization that doesn't want to win, even though the talent is there right now and trying to prove. James Harden, the past couple of games before he was traded, didn't play, didn't see the court. He went back home, wasn't even with the team. The writing was on the wall, but it felt like the air was let out of the room, when he was dealt, because whether he should have been treated as the heart and soul of this team, he was, as the big name, what he brings to the table. I think adding Garland, getting rid of Harden is going to hit that reset button for a team that is still very much alive in the playoff hunt. I like to see if maybe, sometimes adversity helps bring a team closer together. This is that moment if you're LA. Now, you mentioned stability. You talk about your OKCs of the world. That was a team that lived in the cellar for quite a long time, stacking draft capital, draft picks. This OKC team is as dominant as it is right now because they had to tank a little bit, because they had to be patient a little bit. They had to bide their time to get the draft picks that they have, and now they are the team to beat in the NBA. This is the move that I think the Memphis Grizzlies are beginning to make right now. Getting rid of Jaren Jackson Jr. over to Utah. They got a pretty good haul for him as well. 3 first-rounders. They get Walter Clayton Jr. from the national champion Florida Gators, who I'm very, very high on. And as a Utah Jazz fan, I'm very upset to see let go. But the business is the business. They also get Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang. This is signaling a full rebuild for Memphis. You're not going to see this team scratching the playoffs anytime soon. Jaren Jackson Jr. is gone. That means Ja Morant is soon to follow. They look like they're going to signal a rebuild around their young guys like your Zach Eady's of the world. Walter Clayton Jr., I think, is the point guard of the future. They have Scottie Pippen Jr. as well in their squad. This is a team that's going to build back better. And now they have 12 first-round draft picks over the next 7 years. And you look at the scene of college basketball right now, they're going to land some really big key pieces. They will be back, and they will be good. But this is sometimes what you have to undergo in order for that change to happen. Now, Utah, they've been cellar dwellers for years. It's amazing how my favorite teams in all 3 professional sports are the absolute worst, right? But the Jazz, with this move, this is the signal that says, hey, we're finally ready to pull ourselves from the ashes and make a name for ourselves. With Walker Kessler out there, with Markkanen out there, Keontae George, Ace Bailey, the first-round pick from this year, Utah is now signaling that they are here to finally play and be a postseason contender. Not this season. They're still tanking. They have a top 8 draft pick guaranteed coming into this next year. That could be a Darius Acuff Jr., by the way. I'm looking at Acuff really heavily landing in Utah. They need a point guard. I don't know. We'll see. But next year, I think you rip off the shrink wrap on this brand new team, and Utah is going to make a name for itself trying to break in the wild, wild west, a team dominated by international superstars, a league dominated, but they now have entered the party. They're ready to play.
Well, look positive from this aspect, okay? You don't have to travel far to Memphis to see some of your favorite players.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So let's look at it from a positive point, because Utah's not going to be there anytime soon. And I just and I would dare to say Acuff. I'll tell you what. That's going to be a tough one right there. Of course, we know he's one and done. Everybody knows that. But that's a whole nother a whole nother side of the story. So many different things, so many cards are being dealt right now. And we're just going to have to see how it plays out. And we'll have more on that a little bit later on. Plus, and of course, when they have the All-Star game, not too far from now. And then we'll indulge on that a little bit later on. I think we got a good reading on exactly what teams are building up for next year that's not in the playoffs this year. But interesting points and interesting cards that have been dealt.
Yeah, more on the NBA trade situation as it evolves. Of course, playoffs are right around the corner. Who will hoist the trophy at the end of the year? Will it be the OKC Thunder in a repeat, or will it be the Field? Your thoughts. Text us now, 501-915-1300. More to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. The Winter Olympics are here. We break it all down when we come back on 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, the Winter Olympics are here. The 2026 Winter Olympics held across northern Italy, riding some of that momentum from the Paris Games. Of course, the Paris Summer Games 2 years ago, breaking all sorts of viewership records, hype at an all-time high. And this Winter Olympics specifically, multiple big storylines going in to the Winter Games this year, a renewed global spotlight, and the U.S. is sending 232 athletes, one of the largest Winter Olympic teams ever. There's a lot of drama involved. There's some big stories, some inspiring stories. Maybe one of the biggest stories affecting the opening ceremony and the games this week is one for Lindsey Vonn, the United States skier who unfortunately sustained a pretty major injury. This was set to be her final hurrah. She has a ruptured ACL, and of course, as a downhill skier, this could be pretty heartbreaking in terms of trying to go for the gold, finish your career on top. What are your thoughts here? This week, she comes out and says, yes, I'm injured, but I've got a really good team of doctors. I'm still in. As long as there's a chance, I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. End of story. I'm not going to go home regretting not trying.
Mark, anybody out there that's ever had a knee injury, and anybody out there that has ever snow skied, let's put these two together. It's unbelievable, the pressure that's put on. And I'm not doubting her 1%. She's done what a lot of athletes have never done. She's come back from multiple injuries, but this one right here, there's no doubt about it. Now, there's several events that she's involved in. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So whether she Whether she participates is one thing, but here's the deal. Does she qualify? And that's going to be the biggie right there. There's so much doing in the qualifying round to whether you make it. Now, just because you're at the Olympics, you know as well as I do, you got to get through the qualification lines first. And that's going to be the biggie right here. Yeah, she may go down, the huge slalom or whatever the case is and do the short run or whatever the case is. But that's the bottom line is, will she qualify? She's going to participate. Will she medal round? No, probably not. If she does, it's going to be surprising to me because, once again, you're looking at a gentleman that's had 5 knee surgeries, and I've never once attempted to ski, especially on her level.
But let's be honest, you would try.
If I was at the Olympics, I came off of 1 year playing off of a knee surgery in June, and I was playing in August, not a week prior. So let's give credit to where credit's due.
Sure.
Surgeons have changed tremendously, skill levels and such, obviously from when I had mine done when I was still playing sports. But the bottom line is the athletes these days, you're in the Olympics, man. You're at the Olympics.
It's that big moment. Of course,
she's never going to be there again.
Well, this is likely the final hurrah for her. This was always viewed as the final run for Lindsey Vonn. And, while she says that her knee is not swollen and feels stable, she'll be skiing with the help of a specialized brace. And, she's an elite athlete. She's been here before. She has a long history of returning from major injuries and still performing at a world-class level. Now, that doesn't make it safe, but it does make it somewhat familiar to her. Are her gold medal chances dashed by this injury? Absolutely. I don't know that you can realistically believe. Now, it would be the most incredible story of all time.
Oh, goodness.
That if she's able to get the gold here, I think realistically no one is expecting that here. This is being looked at more so of maybe a moral victory, an inspirational story. Honestly, if you want my opinion, it's a very American thing to do.
Step up.
Sending that message. I mean, she has absolutely been nothing but a role model and a leader for young women and athletes in her sport for an entire generation at this point. And sending that message that, for the love of the game, don't let adversity get in your way. You continue to fight as best as you can until your fight is over. There's definitely a moral victory element to this here. It's almost like a symbolic run. I know she's viewing it still as a competitive run here. The timing can't be worse, right? She's 41 years old. Recovery at that age is a little bit smaller, a little bit slower, fewer opportunities, and I know that she's frustrated about it.
Mark, I'm going to tell you this right here, though, also. The mental aspect of it, I'm going to tell you right now, it is tremendous because every time when I came back, and I can't speak for her, but you just what you said, I'm going to touch on what you said. The physical part of it, maybe, or, but the mental, wearing that brace, coming back, I thought, I was avoiding hits when I came back. To myself, that's why I hung up the cleats.
Yes.
Those big turns and stuff coming out of the gate, what's the case is. But not only the physical, we got to think about this, but the mental aspect of it. We saw in the Summer Olympics 4 years ago, the mental aspect of it, where Simone Biles. So let's be realistic about it. I mean, I just said a while ago, the doctors these days, the surgeons, unbelievable. And she's getting the best treatment in the world. But the mental aspect of it too, can my knee hold up? You don't think that's not taken in the back of her head a little bit,
Oh, absolutely. And I know on her specifically, there's so much pressure here, but the truth is on the outside looking in, she does not need a gold medal in these games to solidify her career, to satisfy the world, to prove that she's an icon in this sport.
To get on the Wheaties box.
She's already done that. Exactly. Her image is already set in stone. Her legacy is already cemented. This, it's very, very rare. I mean, you look across all professional sports, it's very, very rare that you have the opportunity to go out on top. Many athletes have that opportunity and choose to do so because you want to retire at the pinnacle of your sport. But the percentage-wise, not every athlete gets that moment where they can finish as the gold medal. That's it. I'm done. I retire at the top of my game. Michael Jordan didn't. Even Tom Brady didn't. So, it's okay. We have such a mindset and a culture here in the U.S. of It's championship or bust, must win, must win. But the truth is only one team or sometimes one individual can be that champion at the end of the year. And it doesn't mean that not reaching the finish line means that you're a failure. I love that she's still going to go and do this as much as she can. Obviously, I believe that if it is a major medical emergency, that they will hold her out. But I think, knees are weird.
Ooh.
And with the damage that's there, and braces can do a lot of things to help buy you a little bit of time, slap a Band-Aid on it, if you will. So I'm inspired by the message that she's trying to send. I think that there will still be a lot of media attention on this run, no matter where she finishes. And I hope it inspires young girls everywhere to not give up on your dreams, because it's never always going to be easy. And good athletes, Tom Brady had a torn ACL and was able to come back. Michael Jordan faced a lot of off-the-court adversity and was able to come back. When you look at the greatest athletes of all time in a sport, you can make the argument that, are you really great if you didn't have to overcome something substantial during your journey? This is Lindsey Vonn's substantial adversity here.
Well, I like what you said earlier, though, in right then, the leadership role. I think that is instrumental in everybody looking up to her. It's just the same as any sport. You've already been there. And the rookies, or even the second and third and fourth year, or if you're looking at it from this aspect, the eighth year, because it's done every 4 years. I mean, you got to think of it that way. Some of these players, look, some of them will never be back. It's just that simple. You don't know what you run into in the course of 4 years. So I think, like you said earlier, I'm going to agree with you on that. The leadership aspect of it, it's instrumental. But man, just think of what, any of those Olympic, just being there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so you don't get on the platform, but still just being there and being a part and knowing what you did at one point in your life. It's unbelievable. And I think this is going to be a good game. I got my favorite. It's already started, curling.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
I like hockey. Don't get me wrong. I love hockey. And of course, that's been on all week long, 1980. I've watched it twice, especially in the ice storm this week. So, but my curling, I love that. Hey, just off the cuff, what's your favorite?
So I have a new favorite, actually. So I've been watching some videos. So it's the freestyle skiing dual moguls. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh my goodness.
But this is basically a head-to-head race down the hill with obstacles. There's ramps where you have to make jumps and tricks involved as well. This is what's captured my attention for this Winter Olympics specifically, and the U.S. has a lot of really good competitors in this as well. But that opportunity to go head-to-head against rival countries, we'll see it as well, where we'll see Team USA have to go against itself in the later stages of this. I don't know what it is, but that is what I have been glued to in anticipation of for these Winter Olympics here. And of course, there's some other sports as well where the U.S. is favored to do some really big things. I'm looking over at the hockey rink. The women's team expected to challenge Canada for gold again. And the men's hockey team, I mentioned debate at the top of the segment. There's some pretty notable snubs from the men's Olympic hockey roster this year. Be interesting to see if they can still challenge for a high position there with some of the bigger names staying at home.
Yeah, no, and you know what, Mark, and we're going to bring that up next because I know we're running short on time, but think about that. You're representing your country.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. With hockey in the United States, the same way as basketball is getting to be now, and even a little bit about football, not everybody's from the United States.
Not everyone's American. That's right.
So, you got to think of it from that perspective. Plus, hey, what's your loyalty? Your bank account or your country?
Your country.
Okay.
I know.
And with me, it's hands down. I think of the basketball games from years back when the big dogs. You remember those games when all the headliners were on there.
That's right.
And they were making bank at the time, but they didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to dominate, and they did. There was no doubt about that. Those teams when they first started it, but these days, I don't know, Mark. I think that you got a good point there. The United States, they've always been competitive in Winter Olympics, a lot better in the summer ones, of course, but the Shaun Whites of the world and such like that. So I like it. We'll see what happens. I just know that they've never medaled in curling. there's a little bit Finland, a couple of those other countries have got a little bit better idea of how
I mean, I don't know if you can be elite at everything. I mean, picture this: if there was, whether it's the U.S. or any other country involved, if the Olympics was dominated clean sweep across the board by one individual country, for one go, two goes. I mean, I think it would lessen the impact of the Olympics.
Yeah, no.
I like that it's not the U.S. winning everything. I know that probably sounds un-American, but I mean, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be the world's greatest athletes, right? And if the U.S. is winning everything easily, I think it takes away from this, because in a show where we talked about the Super Bowl and it's viewed as the biggest championship event on the globe, I mean, you got to make the argument that first qualifying for the Olympics and then winning a gold medal in the Olympics, there's nothing like it, especially for individual sports. There's nothing like it. That is the top, in my opinion. Winning a gold medal in the Olympics is the pinnacle of what any athlete can do for any sport. I know tackle football is not in the Olympics. Maybe one day we'll see. Well, they're trying. They're
flag
trying.
Football's in the summer.
Flag football is in. Absolutely. And of course, the NFL is trying to make a very large international approach. They're playing in Australia next season, by the way.
Well,
but to keep everything under wraps with the Winter Olympics, here's some of the sports where I really like the U.S.'s chances here. Figure skating, I think they have a very strong chance in there. Snowboarding, the slope style and the half pipe, and then the free ski, the big air and the slope style. I think these events, I know historically they've had strong U.S. presence there. I believe they continue their dominance there. So snowboarding, the free skiing, and even in figure skating, I think you're going to be surprised at where the U.S. places on the podium by the end of the show.
Not the Nordic combined, where they get to carry a gun.
You would think, and they probably should be the best. I just don't know.
I like watching too.
I bet you do. You enjoy your curling. I'll enjoy my dual moguls, and
right.
I'm really going to enjoy these winter games. Hey, much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We'll be right back on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
Tracy, I'm sure you saw the big Razorback loss last week against Kentucky. That was a tough one on the home court there. The Slobbering Hog did not go home happy, and Coach Cal did not go home happy either after they went into Rupp Arena, came away with a big win, and had a whole lot of trash to talk. They could not back it up after the ice storm break there. What happened in that loss for the Razorbacks?
Mark, and here's what they were talking about, all the minutes that everybody's been playing, the top three. Well, look, these are 18, 19-year-old kids, man. I mean, you know as well as I do, we used to go out and play as hard as we can back in the day. But I think it's caught up with them. I think that they just look tired. They overextended themselves in a big win, the previous game. And I think that it just got caught up. They look like a daisiel. And also, here's the main one, I think. When you talk about some of the leadership that's on there, Kentucky got in their head.
They really did.
They got in their head. And I'm going to tell you what, they weren't looking to run set plays. They were looking to get even with the guy that had just pushed them. And they got in their head. That's the bottom line.
They were reactive instead of proactive there, and it was more responsive. They hit the panic button. I would say with about 5 minutes to go in the second half of that game, they hit the panic button.
They had a chance, didn't they?
Well, the Hogs were in the lead.
That's what I'm saying.
They coughed up the lead. There was like a 7-point swing in what they call clutch time in the NBA, that final 5 minutes of the ball game. Uh-huh. And the Razorbacks just coughed it up on their home court. And it was that was tough to see. And of course, it resulted in a slide in the standings. But the Hogs are back at it immediately after our show today. They're on the road at Mississippi State, looking to get back into swing of things. And of course, Tuesday, they're on the road at LSU. These are critical road games coming up for the Hogs.
No doubt about it. And a lot of local games around here regionally. Conference games are back going strong. MPC, what have they got going?
Yeah, we've got women's basketball later today at home at the Kettle. South Arkansas College comes to town. 1 o'clock start. I'll be live in the Kettle, np.edu/live. Nighthawks softball's at home Tuesday against Paris Junior College. That's at Majestic Park, 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Love to see you there. And Nighthawk men's basketball at home Wednesday against ASU Newport with a 5:30 p.m. tip-off. You can find everything on National Park College Nighthawk Athletics at np.edu/athletics.
Mark, we got something to give away.
Oh my gosh, the T-shirts.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Well, we've got a T-shirt to give away. We want your scores for the Super Bowl. Text line 915-1300. Give us the score along with the winner, and the closest one gets a T-shirt from KVRE. How about that?
Dude, I rep mine everywhere. I love that shirt.
There you
It's
go.
the most comfortable fit in my closet.
Yep. So hit the text line. We want a score, and we also want the winner. Text line 501-915-1300.
That's our show. We're here every Saturday at 10 a.m. For Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. We'll see you next week.
Game over.